Well, hi there, Scott Ruthven. I'm outside of Cody, Wyoming today. I'm going to paint a painting for you and let you follow along. So you can see behind me, it is the wide open prairie out here. And I've got my truck and my gear's already set up pretty close here. So I'm going to try to paint the mountains here behind me. I like how the shadows cut across, and some of the areas, some of those buttes in the background are in shadow, and then others are fully lit up. So there's a lot of contrast. And look at the sky, it's great. I'm working in oils today, gonna do a little 8x10, so follow along, let's go. Here's my palette I'll be using today. A couple of changes sometimes that I throw in there. Instead of my quinacridone red, I might have alizarin permanent. Oftentimes I'll have both, actually. I sometimes will substitute my burnt sienna with transparent oxide red. Either one is fine. And it's basically used as a modifier. I'll use that, of course, to neutralize colors, but also to mix with my ultramarine blue to get a nice dark. Oh, and let's talk about that chromatic black. That's a Gamblin product, and it's a really cool black. It's cool in its nature, but what makes it unique is that it's a transparent black made from complementary colors, basically a quinacridone red or quinacridone violet. And then on the complementary side of that, it's mixed with a phthalo green, kind of on the yellow shade. And those two are such direct complements that they neutralize each other and turn to a beautiful transparent black, which is this chromatic black. So if you haven't tried that, give it a shot. Now you'll see here I'm going right into really kind of thick paint. I just felt it on this painting from the start, and I have started to put these chunky pieces of color, basically. That's what's attracting me to the scene here. The colors in the actual scene you're looking at look a little bit washed out compared to what I was seeing while I was there, but I really like these, these kind of green blues, and on the horizon, as the clouds cover up some of those buttes, they go into this deep violet shadow color, and I'm actually accentuating that. I love some of the colors and shapes of the Southwest that were captured by artists in the past. Do you know about Walter Ufer or E. Martin Hennings? These were two great Taos painters, and they weren't native to Taos. They actually studied in Germany, but they came to Taos, New Mexico, and I really am inspired by some of the colors and vibrant shapes. They were so definitive in their shapes sometimes that if you haven't looked at their work, look them up, E. Martin Hennings and Walter Ufer. I see some of their influence inspiring me here in this painting. I'm set up today along US Route 14 running through Wyoming, east to west. It goes through towns like Sheridan, Wyoming, over to Cody, Wyoming, and into the east entrance of Yellowstone National Park. Ernest Hemingway actually hung out here. In 1929, he came west here and spent time in Sheridan, Wyoming, and the Bighorn Mountains, just east of where I am right now. He worked on a ranch. He came out here to get inspiration and work on and finish his novel, A Farewell to Arms. When in Sheridan, he stayed at Buffalo Bill Cody's hotel there. He came back a couple of years later and actually made it into Yellowstone. There's a story of him shooting his first bear outside of Yellowstone territory there. And in the process of that trip, he got a nasty gash on his leg, cut up his face, had to go into Cody, Wyoming for some medical attention. Legend has it his prescription was a bottle of whiskey, and he probably went over to the world-famous Irma Hotel to finish that off. To wrap this up, I'm just going to put some nice thick paint here to reestablish some of the lights on the foreground here and the shapes. I think I'll lighten this background butte just a little bit here. Here's the last couple of juicy brush strokes. Look at that thick paint. Well, that's a wrap. There's my finished painting. Man, I had a lot of fun. I started with a little bit of a drawing there. It was a skyscape, so I wanted to, have my horizon line low, obviously. And like I said earlier, I really enjoyed how some of the buttes were in shadow. Others would get hit with some sunlight and glow. And that's where I was kind of going after here. We've got the very background buttes in that violet blue, and the ones in front of it were catching some light, so I alternate the shadow and the light and built the effect. But you know, as I went along, you saw that I just kept going into thicker and thicker paint and restating the different shapes of the clouds and the landscape. And then at the very end, my battery died here. I had to get another one, but I took my brush handle, and you can see some of the lines I used to scratch in there, sgraffito, to add some more energy and an element of line in that to contrast all of these shapes a little bit. That was a lot of fun. I'll turn it here at an angle to the light. Maybe you can see some of that thick paint. There we go. Yeah, so really luscious paint on there. Beautiful color. The colors out here are subtle, but they're amazing. And the more you look, the more variation in them that you see. So that's my painting for today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.